Hello and welcome to Plus Sports special on PlusTvAfrica. It's a somber day for me, but of course, for you, you must feel like you've been hearing a lot about what's happening in the eastern part of Europe, a lot, all over the news lately. And I hate to be the one to pile on, but it continues to have its impacts in many ways, including on sports. This morning, a lot of our stories will involve the Russian consequences of its attacks on Ukraine as sports governing bodies and sports in general tries to find a way to cope with the consequences. Let's begin. While sport and its various governing bodies always try to avoid walking the divisive terrains of politics, as its mission is always the promotion of unity, sometimes it is unavoidable for athletes to use the incredible platform provided to them by sports to engage in political speech. Yet at this time, it is not only athletes that are feeling the need to speak up. It is the whole of sport that stands united in the face of Russian aggression in Ukraine. Perhaps then the mission of sports is truly being fulfilled, as it says with one resounding voice that humanity is bigger than sport and bigger than one man's ambition of building a modern-day empire. We are living, believe it or not, in unprecedented times of peace. This is why this break in the norm, the current political climate, seems to have sent a shock through all of our systems. And in my opinion, even if Russia were to withdraw their troops and forces from Ukraine this very minute, sport has to hold them accountable for at least some time to come. Now, former world heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko has called for support from all international partners as Russia continues to invade his native Ukraine. Klitschko's brother, Vesely, has been the mayor of Kiev since 2014. Both men spoke in a short video that was posted on Vitaly Klitschko's Instagram. It is not for me to tell the international community what to do. This is not a political show. This is a sports show. And as such, I can only inform you about the sports news and events happening all around the world. And this particular circumstance that we're currently facing has untold repercussions for time to come. The truth is, if this aggression goes unchecked, it might give liberties to other nations with whatever political justifications they might come up with, whatever pretext they might have, to carry on in the same guise. And that will only disrupt the peaceful sporting events that we all rely on for a sense of unity. And that unity is very vital at this current era of our human history. In football, Liverpool forward Roberto Firmino has not recovered in time for Sunday's League Cup final against Chelsea. But there is a chance Diogo Jota plays a part, assistant manager Pipichin Lidda said on Friday. Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson predicted a tough match against the European champions, but said a win could ignite Liverpool's season and help them in other competitions. The Red trail Manchester City by 3 points in the Premier League, whilst also having reached the latter stages of the FA Cup and the Champions League. Henderson also said he fully supported UEFA's decision to move May's Champions League final from the Russian city of St. Petersburg to Paris due to the conflict in Ukraine, describing it as a scary situation. Liverpool are in a delicate situation right now. The fact is, in the Premier League, they have a game in hand against Manchester City, who are top of the table and for a long time have been predicted to eventually win the league this season. And in fact, some commentators have already given it to them. But now they are just 6 points clear of Liverpool. And like I said before, Liverpool have a game in hand. And interestingly, they will still meet in April. If Liverpool can catch up and then win that game in April, they could ultimately win the league. It would be an interesting return to the summit of power in the league because Manchester City are always favourites. Chelsea have no choice in the matter right now. At a certain point, they will have to worry about the possibility that they might even have to struggle to finish in the top four, with just Arsenal being just 5 points behind them and 1 point behind Manchester United in fourth place. Liverpool is always an interesting team to watch. And whether you're a Chelsea fan this Sunday or a Liverpool fan, for us, for the neutrals, it will be an exciting match to win. For Chelsea fans, it will be a chance to attain a trophy and at the same time limit the sadness at knowing that they've already missed out on the Premier League title. Now, continuing on our journey about the effects that, the real world effects that Russian aggression is having on sports. You know, human tragedy happens and sometimes it can seem like people have so much apathy for it, so little care. At most, we post on our Instagram, hashtags and like them, but then quickly we're moving on to the next thing. I hope that we do not make that same mistake regarding this matter, because regardless of whether Russia pulls out now, lives have already been lost. And some of those lives are family members and definitely countrymen of some of our sporting personalities. Now, Pep Guardiola has revealed that Alexander Zinchenko is worried about the recent crisis in his home country, Ukraine, and that the left-back has the club's unconditional support. The Manchester City boss said that the 25-year-old is an incredibly strong guy and will play in City's next Premier League match against Everton this weekend, if required. Guardiola then went on to say that he felt more than pity for the citizens of Ukraine, saying that innocent people lose their lives for a decision made by a few people. I cannot even imagine what Zinchenko must be going through right now. Still having to uphold the duty of a professional and play as much as he can with his heart out on the field of play. The truth is, sport is oftentimes an escape, but how much of an escape can this offer him? I wonder so much whether we will see him on the pitch for a while yet. Now, Formula One has said it will not race in Russia this season, saying it was impossible to do so after the country launched an invasion on neighboring Ukraine. Valtteri Bottas on Friday, February 25th, has now thrown his support behind the decision, claiming that Formula One drivers supported the decision to cancel the 2022 Russian Grand Prix. The race was scheduled for September 25th at Sochi's Olympic Park. The cancellation of the Russian race brings Formula One's calendar back down to 22 races from a planned record 23-round schedule. But the sport, which pulled off 17 races in the pandemic-hit 2020 season and held 22 races last year, has options it can pick to fill the spot vacated by Russia, after a number of venues held races as COVID-19 stand-ins over the last 2 seasons. The Russian race debuted on the calendar in 2014 and was set to move to a new track outside St. Petersburg from its current Sochi Olympic Park venue next year. Russian President Vladimir Putin has attended the race in the past, even handing out the trophies on the podium. The title sponsor of the race is the VTB Group, whose VTB Bank was hit with sanctions by the United States and Britain following the Russian invasion. Away from the humanity, the inhumanity, I should say, of a war, one should realize and remember that all of these sporting events being moved out of Russia are going to have financial impact on the country and the cities in which they were supposed to host these events. And we might yet find out even more of these events, of these ties that a lot of sporting organizations, institutions, and governing bodies have with Russia will suddenly be pulled in coming days. Even the Manchester United sponsors have been told, we don't want you anymore. The airline that sponsors Manchester United shirts for £40 million deal. A year before the deal was supposed to expire, Manchester United have cut short those ties. There are talks in Britain that Chelsea's owner, Roman Abramovich's Chelsea, and other properties in Britain might be seized. After all, a lot of these oligarchs help prop up the Russian administration of Vladimir Putin. And this will likely be something that will happen all over the place. There is a Russian sitting on the board of Arsenal's owners. Even he might be forced to step down. We don't know quite yet how far this will go, but when it does come to this point where money is being lost, properties are being seized, games, events are being pulled, the question is, how do you even fund the war that you seem to crave so much? How can you risk so much financial ruin? It's bad enough that you're ruining the unity and peace that sports offers, the tranquility of international politics. Because whether you support one politician or not, in recent times, no war is a good thing. War, bad. And I hope that we do not have to find out just how bad this can get before it's all over. Now, Lewis Hamilton set the fastest time of the opening Barcelona preseason test on a red flag disrupted Friday, February 25th, to return to the top of the Formula One timesheets ahead of new teammate George Russell, who completed a 1-2 for Mercedes. The 37-year-old Briton surged to the top towards the end of the test's final day, setting his 1 minute 19.138 seconds benchmark 8 minutes from the finish. That put him 0.095 seconds clear of compatriot Russell, whose pre-launch session topping effort stood as his best time of the day. It marked a strong end to the first test for Mercedes after a low-key opening 2 days of action, with the reigning Constructors' champions also clocking the highest single-day mileage of the test at 160 laps. Mexican Sergio Perez, swapping with Red Bull teammate Max Verstappen in the afternoon, was third ahead of the reigning champion, with the running order taking on a familiar feel after McLaren's Lando Norris and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc took turns at the top on the opening 2 days. But testing times, which are notoriously difficult to read, were made harder to compute, with some of Friday afternoon given over to wet weather, running on an artificial drenched track. I think you can see there that these drivers are very much looking forward to the new season and know that it will be an opportunity for each of them to start over. The new rules changes means that a lot of drivers will be further up in the podium come the end of the season. There's an expectation that it will be the most competitive season in a long while for Formula One. And a lot of people, a lot of drivers are throwing their hats in the ring, believing that this might be their season. Now, with all of that said, it means that it will likely be a harder season for Hamilton, who, don't forget, has to contend with his very public rival, Max Verstappen, who is the current reigning champion and will also be looking to go again. There's a thing about momentum that can give you enough mental strength to go again. Some are better at it than others, obviously, as Hamilton has done for many years, proven a top champion. But it means that not only will these two drivers be competing with each other, they will be competing with a lot of very confident drivers who are driving cars that they believe are better, starting in positions that they believe give them better chances of winning than in previous seasons. Now, Russia's Andrey Rublev and Czech Jiří Vesely won their semi-final games on Friday, February 25th, to progress through to the final. Rublev beat Poland Hubert Hurkacz 3-6, 7-5, 7-6-5. The Russian wrote "No war, please" on the camera lens following victory to voice his concerns over Russia's invasion of neighboring Ukraine. The other semi-final saw world number 14 Denis Shapovalov take on Vesely in a match that lasted over 3 hours and went to a tiebreaker in each set, with the Czech coming out on top 6-7-7, 7-6-2, 7-6-3. The world number 1, 2, 3 had the biggest upset of the tournament when he beat world number 1 Novak Djokovic in straight sets in his quarterfinal match. The final will be played on Saturday, February 26th. Now, I can bet you that a lot of Russian athletes are going to be fidgeting about whether they should speak up on this issue. After all, we know that what happened with the ROC in regards to questions about doping, state-sponsored doping, meant that all of the athletes had to either keep their mouth shut or back the federation. It is what happens when an authoritarian regime goes unchecked. And the war in Ukraine, perhaps, was always an inevitability. Now, Cameron Norrie needed just 77 minutes on court to upset third seed Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets and reach the final of the Mexican Open. A break of serve in the 9th game of each set was enough to beat Tsitsipas 6-4, 6-4, with Norrie making it through to his 8th ATP final since May 2021. It's no small feat to defeat Tsitsipas, so congratulations to Norrie for doing so. Now, Rafael Nadal has been seeking to stop Medvedev from becoming world number 1, and he was too strong for Daniel at the Mexican Open on Friday in a rematch of their Australian Open final. The Spaniard, who beat Medvedev in 5 sets in last month's Grand Slam final in Melbourne, saw off the Russian 6-3, 6-3. He'll now meet Cameron Norrie after the Briton upset Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets earlier. Can someone say Nadal is back? After years of injuries keeping him from finding his best form, it seems that he's experiencing a resurgence and playing some of the best tennis he's played in quite a while. And he's clearly gunning for that number 1 spot. And maybe he might quite get it. For a long time, we've thought that Djokovic would be very soon the greatest player of all time. But right now, Nadal has it on him and on Federer. And the genius that was hyped a long time ago as potentially the heir apparent to Federer might be just quite singing his swan song with the loudest of crescendos. Now, James Harden impressed in his Philadelphia 76ers debut with a 1 33-109 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. The superstar guard looked lively on the court, finishing with 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 12 assists on the night. The chemistry was instant with Joel Embiid, who had a game-high 34 points as Philly blew the game wide open in the third quarter. The Sixers improved to 36 and 23 with back-to-back games against the New York Knicks next. They looked even more energetic there. I suppose that's what happens when you have such a versatile player, such a great, phenomenal three-point shooter and a great handler of basketball, like James Harden join up with your team. It was quite a watch. Now, it is, like I said before, I do not want people to forget about what is going on the world stage right now. With Russia's aggression over Ukraine, I do not want you to lose track that do not go on Instagram, post a few images, like and share a few videos and call it a day. We must all continue to say with one unshakable resounding voice, peace is the ultimate goal of human existence, because only through peace can prosperity and happiness be achieved. And in sports, we have a chance to find that peace, to come together unified. And one mistake Russia might have made in this whole crisis is that they might have just done the one thing that many of us have been struggling to do for a long time through sports: be 100% unified. Thank you for joining us on Plus Sports Special. It's always a pleasure having you. We know you have many options, but thank you for choosing PlusTvAfrica, the home of great sports news. My name is Mukail Tinubu. As always, remember, life is never boring with some sports. Have a wonderful day.